All right, good evening, everyone. Welcome to another edition of The Danny Show. I'm your host, Daniel Cody, and this is where I give commentary and reviews on all things wrestling. And before I get started, two things. First off, special shout out to the new subscriber, Sean Miner, the Gamer 29. Thank you for your subscription. And also, for those of you who like sports, you can find sports reviews on that channel. And also, speaking of channel recommendations, one of the newest subscribers to this channel, Grady Simmons, has on reviews from the past, which he said I inspired. But he has recently released a review on Armageddon 2008. So if you're interested in classic reviews like some of the ones I may deliver, check his out as well. I think you'll enjoy it. But for now, let's get to tonight's commentary that came live from Chicago, Illinois. And I can tell is certain arenas I can identify. I can identify the Allstate Arena, Staples Center, Madison Square Garden, and the Gund Arena. At least more so from back in the Attitude Era. It was very easy to identify. And somewhat my former hometown of Atlanta, where day one will be. Mm, mm, excuse me. But either way, they were in Chicago tonight, and they were there last week, which gives me the impression that they decided to tape an extra episode for Christmas so that the WWE superstars from Smackdown can go home to be with their families and loved ones in time for Christmas. I don't know, but that's what I'm betting happened. Speaking of betting, we tonight started with an interview from Caleb Braxton with Paul Heyman, asking questions, where does Paul Heyman go ever since being fired by Roman Reigns last week. And this is what I'm betting. First off, I did not know Stone Cold Steve Austin and Rick Rude were partners as the Dangerous Ones. I knew it was Stone Cold and Brian Pillman, God rest his soul, but I did not know those two were together in WCW with Paul Heyman as a manager before he went and created ECW. But either way, this is what I think. I don't think Paul Heyman's career is over. I think what's going to happen is they're going to, one or two things. A, he's going to go back to being the advocate for Brock Lesnar. Or it's a plot twist. And let me explain what that plot twist is. At day one, what could happen is during the match, Paul Heyman comes out and everybody thinks that Paul is going to favor Brock Lesnar when actuality he's going to help Roman Reigns because he has to protect Roman from Brock Lesnar. He's going to help and protect Roman Reigns again from Brock Lesnar. So this may all be a plot twist. Those are my optional predictions. Moving on to the opening part of the show. I thought they were going to book this match for day one, but they decided to do it on tonight's Christmas Eve episode of Friday Night Smackdown with Charlotte Flair versus Toni Storm. And it was a match that started off with a filling out process with Toni Storm getting the better of Charlotte in that fashion until Charlotte would take control for a little bit. And there was a little bit of trash talking from Charlotte Flair. And even though Toni tried to take control, Charlotte was a bit dominant in the match. However, near the end of the match, we saw some roll-ups, which we've been seeing all year. You don't see this much roll-ups in AEW, but I ain't trying to diss WWE. But either way, there were a lot of roll-ups, and Charlotte Flair was caught cheating because, like her father, she's a dirty player. Either way, she got caught by the referee, and they traded roll-ups like Ricky the Dragon and Macho Man at WrestleMania 3. However, this time, Charlotte got the better, but if I didn't know any better, I would have thought both shoulders were down on the mat at the same time. If I didn't know any better, I would have thought Charlotte's shoulders were on the mat during the roll-up to Tony Storm. So I think it should have been a draw so the rivalry could continue. I don't know. But moving on, we had a 12 Days of Christmas Gauntlet match tonight, which consisted of 12 superstars. And it started with Angel Garza and Mansoor. And Angel Garza made quick work of Mansoor with the wing clipper for the victory, eliminating Mansoor, and a surprise victory over Eric of the Viking Raiders. Later on, we will see Shanky come out third, and not to my surprise, Shanky would eliminate Garza, and then Ivar would come out, the other half of the Viking Raiders, and it would be a semi versus Chicago Transit, and they would collide. But just like last week, Ivar would finish Shanky with a superfly snooker-like splash off the top. Now it becomes fight night as Sheamus comes in to fight Ivar, and it's a little interesting. It's not long epic, but it was a bit competitive. I will say it was competitive. And it would get to the point where eventually Sheamus would kick Ivar's head off with a brogue kick and make short work of Bryan Danielson's former partner, protege, Drew Gulak, in very short fashion. And Sheamus eliminating Drew Gulak was quicker than what Sheamus did to Bryan at WrestleMania 28, except there was no bad luck kiss. Either way, after those two quick eliminations, Drew Gulak's being less than 15 seconds, we have Cesaro and Sheamus, a renewal of a rivalry that started back in 2016 before they became partners in the bar. But tonight they wrestled against each other, and Cesaro started off big with a crossbody, but Sheamus went and targeted the ribs. And it also didn't help that Ridge Holland was there to distract everyone enough for Sheamus to finish Cesaro off and eliminate him. After that, we saw Ricochet come in, and boy, Ricochet was the highlight of the night. But before I go to Ricochet, I forgot to mention how much we love seeing Pat McAfee dance to Shinsuke Nakamura's entrance. It's always fun to watch. As Ricochet goes to take on Sheamus, Ricochet will become the highlight reel of this whole night, in my personal opinion. And he will go for a moonsault on Sheamus. Sheamus had brief control for a little bit, but then Ricochet went back to his flying moves. And he would go on to eliminate Sheamus thanks to a distraction from Cesaro attacking Ridge Holland. After Sheamus was eliminated, it would go on to Sheamus being a sore loser, brogue kicking Ricochet. So Humberto Carrillo comes in and tries to take advantage, only to get rolled up by Ricochet, and then Jinder Mahal would be made short work of also with another roll-up. We're seeing a lot of roll-ups, but this is Ricochet, so I'm not going to get mad at the roll-ups tonight. Either way, after eliminating those two, things got really interesting with Ricochet's final opponent, Sami Zayn, and those two put on an amazing show. It's almost like they were on an episode of the original NXT, the Black and Gold brand. Now again, I'm not saying the new age NXT is not good, because then I would be lying. But what I am saying is the golden days, the Black and Gold era, was real cool. And I think the 2.0 is going to be interesting as well. But either way, the match was epic. Those guys put on an amazing performance. But despite the performance, let's not forget about that Hurricanrana that Ricochet delivered to Sami Zayn. That was a thing of beauty. But despite all of that, the mistake came when he went for the shooting star press and Sami countered for, Sammy to go for the haluva kick. 1, 2, 3. Sammy's the number one contender for Shinsuke Nakamura. Now, I will say two things. Number one, a journalist asked Ricochet about his thoughts on his performance and not winning. And she said this was the most impressive that he has been since arriving on SmackDown. And I disagree, because if we pay attention, Ricochet has always been aggressive. And I usually don't disagree with the journalists. Usually don't disagree. But there's a small disagreement that I have, because he has always been impressive. He's been impressive on SmackDown, Raw, as well as his early days in NXT, where he was the one and only, and where everyone got pops from the crowd. But either way, Ricochet is always impressive, and I think he should have more title opportunities because he is amazing. But either way, Sami Zayn won. And here's the thing. Sami Zayn and Shinsuke Nakamura had one of the most 5-star matches at NXT TakeOver Dallas back in 2016. That's what I want to see. At least they're probably going to book them to have a match at day one. And if so, it needs to be good. I don't know if they can top what they did at NXT TakeOver 2016. That was 6 stars, in my personal opinion. But either way, I hope they make this match just as good. I really do. But moving on, last part of the night. Before I talk about the main event, I want to first off say how excited I am to see more of Xia Li. And I think they're going to have her booked in a rivalry with the veteran, the Bolts, Natalya Neidhart. And I think that one's going to be interesting. Also, I'm still waiting to see Sonya get her butt kicked by Naomi. But let's get to the amazing main event. It was very entertaining. We had the New Day, King Woods and Kofi Kingston alongside Drew McIntyre versus Joker's former stooge, Madcap Moss, and the Usos. And the match was a 34th Street fight, Christmas 34th Street fight, and it was just that. The Usos fought on the outside and they tore the stage up. They made a huge mess. Don't invite the Usos in the New Day to a holiday gathering. The whole place will be a mess. The tree gonna fall over, the gifts gonna be broken, the turkey gonna fall off the table, all the pies and stuff are gonna fall off. It's gonna be a hot mess. And those are some good cookies you guys wasted. But either way, in honor and entertaining of that, we saw that while Drew and Joker Stooge, as I like to call him, Madcap Moss, fought in the ring. So things would get really entertaining, and for the first time ever, Madcap Moss and Baron Corbin actually gave me something to laugh at, because usually they put me to sleep. Last week, the fans were so bored by them, they were chanting CM Punk, as they've been doing for years. But either way, the match got real funny when, number one, Xavier's Christmas gift was a chair, and he used it like Rob Van Dam with the Van Daminator. Speaking of Van Dam, for those of you who haven't seen it, I did a review on RVD, Stone Cold, and Trish Stratus in one day for their birthday on December 18th. So check that review out. My favorite matches from all three of them. Also, after Xavier used the Van Daminator, we saw Jimmy Uso try to drink egg stuff and spit it out. That was funny. But speaking of egg, whatever it's called, that egg liquid was poured onto Madcap Moss and Baron Corbin. And for the first time ever, Baron Corbin and Madcap Moss made me laugh. For the first time ever, because I thought that was funny. And Pat McAfee thought it was funny too. Also, the Claymore kick to Madcap Moss for the win, which I predict will happen at day one also. Drew McIntyre will defeat Joker Stooge. But after the match, everyone started having fun, tossing things into the crowd, tossing gifts into the Chicago crowd. And I thought that was very entertaining. And tonight's episode was very entertaining to me. So, what do you think of tonight's event? Because that's all the time that I have for you today. And before I go, I want to wish everyone a great Christmas, and I hope you guys have a safe holiday with your family and with your friends, and a happy new year to all. Merry Christmas to all, and I'll see you again another time with another review. So, have a good holidays, and I'm out. And be sure to check out Grady Simmons and his reviews on wrestling, especially Armageddon. The end is here. Merry Christmas, everyone.